It's just winding up now. All right, this session is being recorded, and this is the alert that I get as the host asking for consent. So it's our legal responsibility to alert you to the fact that this session will be recorded. So if you are feeling uncomfortable, you can turn your monitor off, and if you do need to leave, we can send you the recording upon request. So here we are, Beginner's Guide to G Suite. We're rerunning that series. It was created by global GEG leaders, and we're rerunning it in our Aussie time zone today. So it's a flipped learning and a virtual fishbowl. So Maria and I are hosting that. But first I would like to stop to acknowledge country. So I'll just find that now. So we would like to begin with an acknowledgement of country. This is a way in which all Australians can show respect for the culture, the heritage and ongoing relationship that the First Nation people have with country. We acknowledge the traditional custodians of this land and show our respect for the elders, past and present, who have loved and cared for this land for thousands of years. So we're getting started. Maria, would you like to introduce yourself, please?
Sure. I am Maria Etheridge. I'm from Lakes Entrance, Victoria. I'm a STEM teacher for primary from P to 6. I am a Google leader for Lakes Entrance and Bairnsdale and founder, and also leader for GEG Global. I am Oh, and there's my phone because I mentioned that G word. And I am also a Google innovator and Google trainer, newly minted.
Yes, congratulations.
Thank you.
I'm Leslie Altman, a digital learning mentor in New South Wales, Australia. I'm a GEG leader of Mid-North Coast in Australia. I'm also a global GEG founder, co-founder with 5 other amazing people, and there's my Twitter handle there that I've just lost. And I am a certified trainer, innovator, and newly minted certified coach. So we're just going to quickly just remind ourselves and newcomers who are here today that we're just setting some norms for our meeting here. We need to share the air when using each other's names, and we're going to keep the conversation, whether we're using our mics or in the chat, keep it on topic, and everyone here is assuming the best intentions. Before we go into that agenda, Maria, is there any tips that you can give us on using Google Meet?
Yeah, definitely. If you have a look at the bottom bar where you have your microphone and your phone to leave the call and your camera. So that's where you have the option of clicking on there to turn your camera on and off if you need to. The same with your mic. And you can see a new little logo there, it's fairly new, that you could raise your hand. So you have that option as well as maybe showing us visually in the camera. And you can turn your mic off really quickly by just using Control D or Command D.
Thanks, Maria. That's great. It's always a good reminder to have that. So our outline today, we're hoping to do it in under 60 minutes. Sharon needs to get back to the cricket, but we really like to give that opportunity just to have like a 40 to 50 minute opportunity to go over some of the great tips that were offered by GEG leaders. We're going to quickly look at what is a GEG, remind people, and what is a global GEG. And Maria and I are going to chat about some great features that we were inspired to go and try out, and even a few new features that we wanted to share with you on Google Docs, Google Slides, and Google Sites. So Maria, can you briefly just outline what is a GEG?
Yep, very quickly. GEG stands for Google Education Group. Basically, it's a way of networking with like-minded people. There is a focus on Google, but it is also embracing EdTech in general. You will find GEGs either in a physical form or online, or a combination of both.
And mostly it's been online at the moment, and it's been such a godsend to be able to connect with like-minded people who need support. So if you don't, you're not part of a GEG, have a look around. I've got a link at the end of the presentation, and you might be able to find a GEG in your local area. But I belong to a couple around the world because I want to be inspired by other leaders as well. Now, the global GEG, we are not in charge of GEGs. I just want to put that out there straight away. But these 6 people, these 5 people and myself, were 2019 innovators. We went to the innovator cohorts during 2019, and we connected. We were different. We were in London and New York and Sydney and Singapore. So we connected online, and one of the burning questions was, how do I find a GEG, and what is a GEG leader? What do I do? How do I get started? So we all raced off and did a little bit of research, come back into a huddle and helped each other. And it was really supportive over January and February 2020. And then other people were saying, hey, I heard that you were helping each other. Could you help me get started? I want to do a launch. We said, sure, we'll help you. Here's the slide deck that we've worked out. And we started to grow a little bit of a following. And then, we were all helping each other. Then COVID hit, and we found that the momentum built, and we asked if we could call ourselves Global GEG. And you can see with the list there are leaders from Ohio, UK, North California, Barranquilla in Colombia, and South Louisiana, and myself here on the east coast of New South Wales. So on the next slide here, when you do get to have a look at the communities, you can see that there are 10 in Australia. There's one in New Zealand, but it's a very big and very vibrant group. And so you can see the number of GEG communities that have been popping up around the world. But the blue arrow shows you that Google acknowledged what we were trying to do voluntarily for Google and Google educator groups and educators around the world. Because they placed us in the ocean there, where we have our own spot. So that's really exciting. And something that I learnt the other day, I went to one of the sessions the other day called Modelling Quality Engagement. I'll drop the link in the chat in a moment when I get that screen back. And it was, or Maria, you might be able to drop it in. It's in that table. Table, my mad planning sheet. Becky Colling and Stephanie Rothstein ran a very successful session for Global GEG. There's the YouTube link to it. And one of the things that I learned was this, thinking about what we've just learned. And so we're going to drop that link in at the end of the session. So we're going to ask you, what are 3 important points that you've learned? What's something that's squared with or you agreed with your thinking, and what's something that's still circling? So we're going to, I'll just check here and see if I've got someone coming in.
Yeah, sorry, Leslie, Kimberly just said she sat there waiting.
I can't even hear that. I can't even hear. Hang on. See, I haven't got that coming in at all. I've just heard it, but I haven't got that coming in at all. See, I invited her probably with the wrong, you ask her what email, just send me that email.
Okay.
I'll get out of this then.
Kimberly Hall at google.com.
Hang on. I'm going to write Kimberly Hall at google.com. That's because
you were using a different one. I saw that.
Yeah.
Okay,
when she comes in, I'll apologise.
I'll just write try now.
Yep. So we're going to put that link in the chat because we'd like some personal feedback, what were you inspired to do there? So I'm just going to stop sharing for a moment and just see if Kimberly's made it in.
She just responded to some of my tweets on Twitter.
I invited her with another one, and I sent it to her in Twitter saying that's the one that I'm inviting her into.
Yeah. It's funny, I saw she liked something and then you said her name. It was like really weird.
Okay then. All right. Well, what we're going to do is she coming in yet?
She's liked it. Okay.
She in?
No.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm going to keep going here. If you can tell me when she comes in, because I've invited her now. Tell her it's in her email. Yes, it'll be in that kimberlyhall@google.com email. So we're going to have a look at some examples on Google Docs at the moment and do a bit of a fishbowl. So I'm going to look at the top 3 features that I like about Google Docs. There's a new feature now that I'm really excited about, and I'm going to have a look at some formatting issues, a bit of alignment, and adding a comment. So if you have any ideas there that you'd like to share as well, please drop them in the chat. So I'm going to, you should be able to see my document here. You're still seeing my screen? No? Can't see it?
No.
So if I present now, I'll probably be able to see it. See, I've been looking for Kimberly and I can't find her.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. So it should be over there now. You should be looking at my document. Is that correct? Right, good, thanks. So be very careful, just a tip from one who knows. If you do not put a title for your document, watch what happens. When I go to, if I leave it, it will create the title for you and it will be the whole first paragraph. I've been helping some teachers and looked at their drive and their, the document becomes invalid. It's corrupted because this is the title. So you need to give it a title to be able to locate it later on. And of course, naming conventions are really important. I'm going to go to the next one here. The naming conventions are really important. So I've called it a text example. So when you are looking for, in your history, when you're looking for a document, if it's document 1, document 2, or ABC, you're not going to be able to find it really well. So your naming conventions are crucial here. I've created, look, I love the fact that Google Docs, it saves in real time. Look, the last edit was 40 minutes ago. I'm going to add a few more dots in there and it will say the last edit was seconds ago. It's really great to be able to have that saved all the time. Remember in the old Word document usage, when, a couple of years ago when I was relying on Word document, I'd close it and I'd lost it. So this is a great saver. Being able to collaborate. Now, collaboration here, this is set private to me because I've just been working on it. There are a number of ways. Remember, you can select who you want to share this with. So if I only wanted to share it with Maria, all I typed in was Maria, and because she's in my contacts list, it found it straight away. So you can see I've only typed in Maria and it's given me that option. So I can share it with Maria. Now, I don't know whether you use notify people or not. Most of the time I do. Some of the time I turn it off and it won't notify them by email. But what it does is it allows me to place that link in a document or in an email that I've given a lot more information about. So that's, I use that. It's very helpful. If I turn that off, I can then just add that link and they don't get 2 separate pieces of information and I can track it a little bit more easily. So I'm going to notify her and just fill up her inbox there. You can also, if it's restricted, you can also give it to anyone with a link. That doesn't mean to say you've just put a post-it note out on the front of the school. It means that if you have 5 people you're working with and you share this document with anyone with a link, those 5 people can enter that document. But if 2 more people are added to the team and they are given that link, well, it's not specific to the first 5. So I find that helpful to use it in that way. And of course, here you can either give them viewing rights, or you can give them full editing rights, or you can just give them an opportunity to comment down the side and don't change anything on the document here. So, of course, if I wanted to add a comment there, I just press add comment area there. And a lot of our planning in Global GEG, this is filled with people responding to each other's comments here. And if I type in at Maria, I should get, there we go. This will go straight to her email. So she's alerted straight away that there's a new conversation, or I've added to that conversation. Also, the version history is amazing. So if I go to File, Version History, and I'm going to see the version history, and here it is down the side. I've been the only one busy plodding away in there. This is great for a number of reasons. One is that if you had a complicated piece of, like even in Google Sheets, if you had a complicated content and someone has inadvertently made that mistake and deleted, you can go back and restore that version. More importantly, if you had given this document to a number of children and said you need to be working on this collaboratively, and then you look at that version history and find out that one child has not made any addition to that document. And I find that very helpful to be able to then start a new conversation. Was it the fact that that child couldn't get in, didn't want to get in, or was someone restricting that child from working? So they're always really helpful. And don't forget, if you do have a number of students working on a document, they can put their cursor anywhere and type over other people's work. So to really keep them in a certain area, you put a table in there and put their names down the side, or they put their names down the side, so they only get that one space to add information. Now, I copied this out from the video description, and you can see here that it's got a grey background. So just a quick way to get around that, I go up to, and I've lost it. Oh, here it is. This will do. So if I had a grey background, I can turn the highlighter off. Sometimes when you bring it in, you bring the highlighter grey background in as well. So I just click none there. So I think that's pretty well it. Oh, the page setup. This is exciting.
Yeah.
I'll go back.
Before you go on to that, yep. Leslie, can I just add 2 quick points? One, sometimes that grey background appears if you're copying and paste from somewhere. So if you paste without formatting, then that can also delete the grey background. And also, as I've spoken before in regards to version history, there's a good little app called Draft Back, and you can watch a video replay of what has been created on that document and whether it was just a quick cut and paste of all the information or they physically typed it out.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I've just shown that there, paste without formatting or just paste. Yeah. So that's in the edit area there. This new drum roll, watch this. So I've just put this text here. I'm going to highlight the text. Now, when you want to change the orientation from portrait to landscape, you go into File and you go into Page Setup. You used to be only able to choose all of those pages as portrait or all of them as landscape. But now I've selected that content. I could have done the whole document or the selected content, and I'm going to change it to landscape. So what it's done here is page 1 and 2 are portrait, and the selected content is landscape, and that's great. Yeah. That is so great.
It is so good.
Absolutely. And I like tidying things up by having, I'm just going to change the alignment here. I can justify full to the right, to the centre. that's just a little tidy up. So there's just a few things that it really triggered an idea when I saw that video by, who was it? It was Robin and who else was David, that's right, for our global GEG leaders. They presented that a little while back. So I'm going to, I still haven't got any notification here. Just having a look to see, but she hasn't come in. Okay, well, while I'm here, Maria, can I just do the start on the slides?
Yeah, go for it.
So I've got, I'll go straight over to the slides here. Now, when I watched the video presented by Patrick, he gave some really great ideas about using templates, and I'm design challenged. We just have to put it out there. I really am, and I use Slides Mania a lot. And I think Maria, can you put that in the chat link there? I think I've got it in. You can see it there. So I download a lot of her work, and I can change, I can change any of the slides. She's really good. I'm just going to pop through a few here. Look, she's got great layouts here. But for this particular one, if I wanted to change a color, I can't change anything. I can't color it at all. So this is just a little bit above beginners, but, go and play with it. This is really good. If you go to slide, so where am I on that slide? If you go to slide and you edit master, you see it there at the bottom of that menu, edit master. Now I've got a new mini menu in here, and there's my slide. Now I can start working on it. Now I can change it. I'm going to change it to, I don't know, might do something strange. Color. Okay, green. So now when I click out of that and go back into those slides again, every time I make a copy of that slide, that green one will be there. And I use this slide for my open chat with trainers, and I've used that one for the launch, and I thought they're not quite Google colors. I'm going to make them Google colors. So I went in and I just tweaked it just that little bit to be able to do that. So she's really inspired me to kind of move outside my beginner phase. But also, just as a little tip here, if you go to Giphy and go to the stickers, and you can choose something interesting. I might choose this yellow one here. So if I clicked on that, all I need to do is copy the link. It's there. I'm going to copy it. And of course, it says now I've copied the link. I'm going to go back to my slide, and I'm going to insert an image, but I'm not going to upload it. I'm going to insert it by URL. So I'm going to click on that, paste, Control V or Command V, and I'm going to insert that in there. So it has a lovely transparent background, and you can move it around, grab that handle, and you can change the orientation there and move it around. So I just thought that might be cute to add a little bit of movement to your slide. Now, this is an example of a really hefty, I think it was like 38 slides. I got carried away. But I used this in a presentation with the teachers in Bathurst Diocese, and they took this away as their learning journal. Now, I didn't want them to move that text, but I wanted them to be able to move other things around. So I went to the Slides Mania website, and she has tutorials on how to change her slides. So what I needed to do was, so here I wanted them to engage in this and guess who owned that particular image, and then watch the video. You couldn't watch the video if it was too many layers down. So I'm going to slide, edit master, and then I was able to add extra features in here. This is the stuff that I couldn't move around. I'll go back to here. There was another here. I wanted them to be able to add their own text in that, their own learning in that. This is a slide, this is a text box, but here's the information. I'm going to have a look at activity 2 and edit master. It gets a bit tricky, but I inserted a placeholder. I think it was the subtitle. That was it there. That was it there. So she demonstrates that really clearly on her site. So if you want to have a little play around at a little bit above beginner, go and try that, because it's really, really helpful. Last thing I'm going to present is how to create a little, well, it's not quite a video, but you can publish this to the web simply by going to, you can make this little advertisement, file, publish to the web. Now you can download, you can change, you can download it as a PDF, plain text, so forth. But if you choose publish to the web, I'm going to get that link and I'm going to publish it. Got a second option here. You sure you really want to do this? Yes. Now I've got that link, and if I go to a new tab or an incognito tab and I share that, it should roll on, but I don't know whether I don't know whether I changed those. I'm not sure if I changed those properly. Every 3 seconds, every second. Start the slideshow as soon as, okay. So now it should refresh that, and now it should start. So it should roll on 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Also, if last thing before I go, last thing, you can embed that. So there's your embed link if you wanted to pop that little rolling example in your Google site, your Google website. So I'm going to stop sharing now and see if I can go and find Kimberly while Maria's getting her slide up and running.
Okay. Beautiful. Okay. Before I speak about this, I just want to add to what Leslie was saying in regards to presenting, publishing, to the web. I taught my students to do that when I was teaching the basics of animation. And so they publish to the web, and in the URL you can actually change the time, so you can make it even faster, and then their slide deck becomes a very quick animation when they present it. It's really cool. Yeah. Okay.
I like it.
So now I'm going to, I'm going to one, show the presenter view that was covered in the videos that you would have seen, the beginner's guide, and then being a Moat ambassador, a little bit of a plug, I'm also going to show you how to do voice over your Google slides. So this is a new addition for Moat. So it's pretty cool to have a look at it. It's something that a lot of people wanted to be able to do, to add audio to your Google slides, and now Moat have made it easy. So you can see my slide here, and you can see that little Moat logo at the very top beside the left to the present button. So if I click on here, all I need to do is click on this little logo to start my audio recording. Let's see how this will go live. So I'm going to do a very quick audio talking, just say I was talking about the differences between the the Asian and African rhino. Click that to stop. It would start processing it. I could go back and check my recording or delete it if I want to redo it. I just click insert.
Ooh, automagically.
Yeah, automatically. Magically. I could see you pop in there. There's a Googler in the house. Welcome, Chris.
Hi, everyone.
Chris is Program Manager, G Suite Adoption for Australia and New Zealand. So we're really happy to have you here, Chris.
That's all right. Thanks. Sorry for being late. I was in a program management meeting.
That's all right. And Kimberly couldn't get it in at all. We tried 2 of her emails.
Oh.
Okay, I think it's not working properly for me because
But I can see that it's embedded there. So if you weren't in this, double layered presentation mode, so if a student just needed to go to that and listen to that teacher's instruction, that's what they would do.
Correct, and it will come up with a little logo which you can move around just like you could in the PowerPoint days.
So Mel said that she uses it in her daily agenda. So Mel, turn your microphone on. Do you talk to yourself, or do you give some instructions to individual students?
No, I'm just talking about like my daily agenda. I have instructions on there. It's just like if kids go and look at it early and they want to know like what we're going to do in class, because I usually have like a list of things to do in my agenda, but some students like to hear it as well beforehand. Those ones that are, I don't know, they're keen beans. There's not many of them, but there's some of them. So yeah, and like just makes it so much easier, because I usually have to go to Vocru, download, put into Google Drive, change the permissions, and put it into Google Slides. Like this, like saves all of that time. It's so much easier.
Yeah, it's really
Is there a cost on that mode extension?
Pardon?
Is there a cost on the mode extension?
There's a free version and then tiered paying version.
Okay.
So do you find with the free version, Maria, do you get enough features to get you through?
Yeah, so you can do that on the free version. Yeah. You can insert the audio. You can do all your recorded feedback on the free version, and you can even do the translating on the free version. And it's pretty cool.
It would be super nice if the Google built-in one lets you record directly. That would be nice.
Yeah. Mel just said there's no transcriptions, though.
I think it does the English. It doesn't do the translation into another language for free. I don't think.
Yeah, I might have read that incorrectly. It was transcriptions. So it doesn't have the text added in it for the free version, but that's all right. Bye, Sharon's multitasking. Bye, Sharon. So just as a reminder, while Maria's getting to that next slide, don't forget we're going to pop in this feedback slide that I was learning, and I looked at that modelling quality engagement from one of our presenters from Global GEG. What are 3 important points that you've learned during this session? That's the triangle. The square image is what is something that's squared or agreed with your thinking. And the third question is what's still circling? What are you still thinking about? We'll pop that feedback link in the chat in a moment.
Okay, the other thing I want to demonstrate, it was touched on in the videos about the presenter view. So I just want to show you actually what the presenter view looks like. So if you go down into the present tab and you click down on the arrow, as Patrick was saying in his presentation, that there's always goodies when you click down on the arrow. There's always more value. So always have an explore on the arrow. So having a look at the presenter view, I'm going to show you right now what that looks like for you, well, for the presenter, if you're presenting, but also what it looks like for the receiver.
We're all looking over your shoulder.
Yeah. So you can see there the speaker note. So that's my little speaker note. That would only be visible to myself. However, there's the audience tools that are also available. So I'm going to have a bit of a play with that right now so you can see what it's like. If you all go to this link, please.
I think I put it at the top. I'm going to go and get it, and I'll put it down in the chat because we were playing a little earlier. I've just popped it in the chat. There, it's case sent. Oh, no, wait a minute. This is a different one. Forget all that. Just try to be helpful there.
Yeah, I think because I've represented it, it's creating.
You did.
Yeah. We were almost organised. And whilst that link is going there in the chat, you can see that the timer is showing. You can pause and reset that. You can look at the different slides, so you can drop down for them as well. But what I wanted to really demonstrate is that link. So if you all go to slides.app.goo.gl/7GPTU,
Got it, I think. Yes, it worked.
You can actually ask a question to the presenter, and the presenter, as you can see probably there, I hope you can see the presenter slide deck behind it. So if I click on that, that's what you guys are seeing. And yay!
Yeah, we've got some questions coming in.
And there's questions.
This would be so great during a presentation to just have a bit of a brain break.
Yeah, and it's sometimes it's an alternative, I guess, to the chat, that these messages can come up this way, that people could. You also have the option, which I'm about to demonstrate now. You can see that people have asked questions. You can see who has asked the question. You can like or dislike the question. I don't know why.
What's present? What does present mean?
But what you could do is present, and then that puts it on the main slide deck.
I didn't know that.
And so that comes up, and then everyone can see that question that has been asked, and maybe that would create
disappointed you picked mine.
I'll put Chris's on.
It's much more deep and meaningful. Oh, that's great.
Yeah. So I just thought I would go into that because it was only touched on in touched on in the videos.
And that's what we want to do, is to be able to go back and look at the videos and ask a few questions. And, you know, like, I think it was Patrick that talked about templates. And then I just thought, if I take you another step further, and we'll have a look at how to edit a template and add a few little gify movements on it. Just, you know, you always get a little bit more with this session.
Mine's just dropped out now.
I think too, with that presentation mode and the questions that you've got there, when people see that for the first time, a lot of people don't get it because they're used to presenting in mirrored mode, where what they have on their laptop screen is exactly the same as what's on the presentation screen. And that's typically what happens in a classroom. So a lot of teachers don't think about the dual screen mode, where you have different things on different screens, because of course it makes much more sense when you've got one thing presenting and the questions are coming up on your screen. So yeah, just worth pointing that out. Okay, so Maria's going to give us some tips that she found for Google Sites, but I put the link to that Google form that we that I was really inspired by the number of ideas that I got from that session. I'll put that video back in there. Just take a copy of that video. When I find it, I'll pop it in there as Maria's getting hers started. I learned so many things from the modelling quality engagement.
Okay. This is my unpublished. I haven't published it yet, Chris. What timing for you to come in? Of my GEG Google site. So I'm just going to, give myself a bit of a cheeky plug, but also demonstrate a bit about Google Sites. One thing that came up in the demonstration in the video by Fee, shout out to Fee Morrison there, is about hiding things from the navigation if you don't want them to be published. So I thought I would go over that once more, just because that's probably a little bit more than just a beginner, and just to hone on that skill. Okay, so if I did not want my resources page, for example, published yet, I would go onto these three dots here, and I would just simply choose hide from navigation. Now, what that means is if I publish the rest of this site, that part would not be open to the general public until I made it available. So it means that I could plan ahead and have stuff there ready for the go, but I may wish to make them live, say, a week later or whatever time that I want to.
Yeah, it's great management to do it that way, and it's messy when you publish something and there's only half a page. You know, you put what do you do? Put a sign there and say under construction. But this way is a lot more professional. I have a lot hidden from navigation while I'm trying to sort myself out. But Google Sites has been really user friendly.
Yeah, I really, really enjoy it. So otherwise the alternative is you have to keep on going in there each time you need to put something in live in the moment and publish it. So this is a great way of being able to plan ahead. The other thing I want to touch on is being very mindful when you're adding, say you're adding something from your Google Drive or from, say you're from your slides, docs, any of the Google products. Be careful to check your permissions before you do that. Okay, so just because it's in here doesn't mean that you've got permissions for all your viewers to be able to access that document that you've inserted or the Google Sheet. You need to go into your Drive and make sure the permissions are set so it's accessible for anyone. I don't think I need to demonstrate that because that was shown in the videos, unless someone in the audience would like me to demonstrate it live. But I just wanted to that to be a reminder, because it's something that initially even I came undone with using Screencastify. Any questions? Anyone want that demonstrated, or you're all good?
Good.
I'd actually, if there are no questions, I'd like sometime in the next few minutes for Chris to talk to us about the way those blocks are placed, and it's something to do with publishing. It's a publishing terminology where you know, like you can't, what was it called, Chris, when you used to demonstrate how to create a site and you only had certain blocks, and it was the way an editor would set their type or their images, so you can't kind of bleed it across into another area or another zone on the site. And it, you know, it's really helpful for people. As I said, I'm design challenged, and it really keeps me regulated and to finish a more professional product.
Yeah, I can't remember the exact term it's called. There is a technical term for it, but it's got to do with the way text flows on a page. And it all comes down to the fact that, you know, it's really interesting when someone who's used to designing for print moves to the web for the first time and they make their first web page, and they have a hard time thinking about the web page not as a printed page. In other words, they think that the way it looks on their screen is the way it's going to look, because that's how a desktop published. That's how it works in desktop publishing. But on the web, everything's fluid. So for example, Maria, if you on yours just click the little camera, a little third button along the top there, one looks like a computer and a sorry.
Sorry, the preview. Yep.
Yeah, the preview. Sorry, I couldn't think of the word. So if you go in there, one of the nice things that Sites does is it creates these sites and makes them work on various platforms. So if you click on that button there, you'll see this is what this site would look like on a mobile phone. If you click the one next to it, you see this is what it would look like on a tablet, like an iPad or an Android tablet, and so on. And so the fact that web pages are fluid and they don't look the same on every single device. I mean, as you can imagine, you know, can you go back to the mobile version again for a sec?
Yeah.
Like you imagine, like what you don't want on mobile is just a mini version of what was on the web, because then you wouldn't be able to read it. So it does actually move things around.
Yeah.
And so when you create pages in Google Sites and you create those sections, like every time you add a new block of text, it creates a new section down the page. Those are important because as you move from a web version to a mobile version, those blocks, I think the technical term is a div, those divs actually sort of stack up under each other. And it doesn't matter what order the page, what size the page is in, they'll stay in the same relative order. And so I've seen people kind of, you know, really hack together layout on a Google site where they sort of force things to be next to each other. I want this picture and I want the text to wrap around their picture. And so they're really particular because they come from a desktop publishing or a word processing mindset. When they come to the web, they get that page looking really nice, but then suddenly they switch to a mobile version, which probably 60 to 70% of their audience are going to look into that page on mobile.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, it all breaks because now things that they thought were next to each other actually aren't. And like this image is connected to some text that's down the page with other things in the middle. So don't try and fight the layout that Sites is suggesting. It's suggesting it for a really good reason.
I even for our parent portal, when it was remote learning, I checked all of these layouts before I published anything, and we did have to do a bit of tweaking because I wanted to make sure, as you were suggesting, that it was visually appealing and easy to access on all platforms.
Yeah. The terminology I think you were looking for before is called page linearization.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I just stuck a link in the chat there. I have a little workshop I used to do back in the EdTech team days on designing good-looking sites, and it actually delves into some of the principles behind page linearization and how to design to try and get things to work nicely.
Yeah, thank you for that. That's excellent, because we want to lift our game all the time. If we stay at beginner all the time, we're not learning anything. But if we push ourselves to, like I didn't understand how to do those layers in the slide edit mode. And I tell you what, I was working so hard trying to get that huge slide deck to work for the Bathurst teachers, and I couldn't get it to work. And I started having a conversation with Paula from Slides Mania, and it was only something that Lewis had said from the Google GEG group that he couldn't get the autocrat to work on a file that sat in a shared drive.
Yeah, won't work.
So when I remember him saying that, I thought, I wonder if it's the same with what I'm trying to do with this edit slide master. So I took that slide out and put it in a regular drive, and it worked a treat. So it was something that I was really excited to learn and push myself beyond my design challenged level. And that's how we grow. Failing is not failing. That's not the end of it. Failing is failing forward and failing towards success. So that's so thanks, Chris, for that. And Maria, that was great. Because it's just such a user-friendly platform.
Yeah.
Have you got time for one more little tip on sites?
Yes, please.
Sure.
Maria, if you want to bring your screen up again,
Yep.
the site page. One of the things that I think it's a hugely underused thing inside sites because it looks a little bit confusing and people tend to avoid things that look confusing. And that is in your insert list on the side there. If you scroll up to the top, you've got that button that says embed.
Yes.
And I think the embed button puts a lot of people off because, I don't know what to type in this box, right? And so what I've done is, and again, I'll just drop it in the chat for you. I've created another page resource here about embedding media in sites. And I've just gone through and given lots of examples, like how would you embed a photo? How would you embed a street view image? How would you embed a tour creator? Not that that's going to matter much longer. Like an Adobe Spark page, or how would you embed a Twitter stream?
Even a calendar. You'd be able to put your calendar in there as well.
Yeah.
Calendar you can do anyway, because there's already a widget for calendar. So if you look in the embed list, there's already calendar as an option. But it's all these other things. Like, what if you wanted to put a Twitter stream on your page, sites page, or from another service that wasn't YouTube, for example. Say you wanted to embed a TED Talk video and you wanted to do it from the TED website rather than from YouTube. So that's what the embed button does. It's hugely powerful, but you just need to know how to use it. So I've gone through on that page that I've given you there, and I've given you a whole bunch of examples and described how you actually do each one.
Fantastic.
Oh, look at that. Google Photos, Street View. That's great. Thank you. So there's the Spark page. And Twitter. Yes, I need to do that for my Mid-North Coast one. Thank you, Chris. That's just brought us up to another level.
For me is you can embed, and actually, Maria, if you scroll all the way to nearly the bottom, and you'll see, I think it's the last one on the page, is other websites. Just go up a tab.
Oh, there it is.
Yep.
So this one, other websites. When that loads in just a second, you should see, in that grey area on the side there, a Wikipedia page will load.
Oh yeah, it's coming. Yep.
It's coming. So with an embed page, you can actually embed another web page in your web page.
That's
And one of the
classy.
things that throws people when they do that, sometimes they click the link, they paste in the URL for the web page, and like nothing shows up, or they just get a little block that says Wikipedia. And it took me ages to figure out what the reason was for that. It has to be allowed by the site itself. So Wikipedia, for example, allows page embedding, but if you were to go to, say, Sydney Morning Herald or something and try and do it, Sydney Morning Herald does not allow page embedding. So page embedding thing works differently depending on what the site you're trying to embed is allowing.
Right.
And again, it confuses some people because they try and do it and they go, oh, this doesn't work and I don't know why.
Twitter does that as well, doesn't it, Chris? Twitter?
Twitter, there's a little technique for Twitter. There's a little thing, a couple of steps you've got to do for Twitter.
It's in your instructions here, so I'll follow that.
There. If you scroll up, there's something there for Twitter. But yeah, because what I found was each service, sometimes they all work basically the same way, but there's a couple of them that had little quirky things. So I've tried to document all the quirky things on this page.
Oh, that's excellent. Well, that's just taken us up another notch, because I want to put a Twitter, embed a Twitter stream into one of my websites, my sites, and I was having trouble, and I thought that's just something it's on my to-do list. I've got to go back and check that out.
Well, that's how you do it. The instructions are right there.
Beauty.
Yeah.
Beauty.
That's awesome. Actually, I might do it on our school one as well, actually embed the Facebook page in there.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, I haven't tried a Facebook page, but
be interesting to try it. Yeah, I've just put that feedback in again. This is for Maria and I. So if you click on that link, and you'll see there are 3 questions that we're asking you. 3 important points that you've learnt. I could put a lot more than 3 because I've learnt quite a bit there. So it just gives us an idea how we can improve our presentation and the content that we're trying to support people in learning the G Suite application. So there's something that's squared or agreed with your thinking, and something that's still circling in your head.
Nice.
So, and I got that from that series I watched the other day, and they got it from the Teacher Toolkit. So I've acknowledged there wasn't out of our thinking there. So,
would you like to share your slide deck again, please?
Me?
Yeah.
Come
or
on.
I can do it if you want. Because the points that the graphic that you were talking about that wasn't visible. Beautiful.
What? Which one?
This triangle, one? Square, and circle. Yeah. Perfect.
There it is there.
Thank you.
Yeah, so that's on that form, and if you could do it sometime for us, that'd be great. But also we are asking you to also, I'm just going to find this evaluation for Global GEG, and I think there's the evaluation form. I'm just going to put it in here. Please fill that out for Global GEG. We have meetings deciding how we can improve our presentations. Now, this beginner series, the first week of December, someone said we ought to do something for beginners. Let's do that. And by Friday, that was Monday, by Friday, the 70 leaders had got together, and the series was completed. Just many hands make it work. And it was completed. It was pushed out there. I mean, we've had anywhere from 300 to over 1,000 views on those particular videos on that playlist, and it's helpful. So Maria and I said, well, look, let's reuse it again, put it in our Aussie time frame, and we noticed that there's been about 46 odd views just So let's see how we went. Kept it under 60 minutes. We've had a quick look at GEGs. Don't forget how important they are in your area. If you do want to know a little bit more about GEGs, please drop us, follow us on Twitter or ask us. We had a look at docs, slides, and sites, not only just some of the points that were given on those videos, but we lifted it to another level as well because we were chatting about it. don't forget to go to that teacher centre. Were you able to drop that in the chat there, please? The teacher centre will give you lots of opportunities for more training courses. You can train by product. You can look at different certifications there. You will find under communities, when that little GIF moves along a little bit, under communities is where you will find out more about GEGs. So that's a really helpful site there. And thank you so very much for joining us. We really appreciate your time, and we hope that it's been helpful. And thank you, Chris. Always thank you for sharing your time with us and giving us lots of tips and ideas that we can improve our practice as well.
Thanks.
So I'm going to stop that recording now. This will be